Hey and welcome back to the channel. My name is Carla if you're new here, and I make videos about how I show up for myself in hopes of inspiring you to do the same. And by doing so, I managed to transform my entire life, lost over half my body weight, overhauled lifelong mental health issues, completely changed my career and live a pretty decent life. It's not all rosy, but I make videos about all of those topics, including fashion, beauty and mental health here on YouTube. And if that's the kind of thing that you like, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video from myself, and make sure you like this video at the end if you do like it. I haven't done a sit down Q&A with you guys in a long time, and I'm not going to do anything else while I'm doing this. We're just going to have a chat because I have a tendency to get distracted if I'm doing my makeup as well. I have made myself a cup of coffee about an hour ago in my Meta mug because if I go downstairs, Brannock will want me to stay there, and I will want to stay there, and I need to do some work, so that's good coffee. One question somebody asked me recently, what is my favourite coffee brand? My favourite coffee brand is Cloud Picker and Bean Inspired Coffee Roasters. Both are Irish. Cloud Picker, because I drink decaf, the Cloud Picker Colombian decaf, Colombian coffee. There's something, it just works for me. It aligns with my inner Sofia Vergara.
Welcome to the family!
Right, lads. First one, I always see the guitar on your wall in your videos. Do you play? Yes, I can play very rudimentary guitar, but my nails are too long to play guitar. The guitar that is hanging in my office was a gift, and the last person to play it was a friend of mine who passed away. So it kind of has more sentimental value to me than musical value. The guitar, I do love the guitar. I find it very difficult. I am more of a singer. How did pregnancy... So I'm going to say some names. Is this turned on? It is, thank God. Okay. We need to sit down properly. We need to cross the legs because we're getting into the chats here, lads. Right, how did pregnancy affect your weight loss journey? I recently lost 20 pounds. Congratulations. And I'm now 12 and a half weeks pregnant. Major congratulations and gaining healthy weight. Weight loss isn't on my mind right now, but I like to maintain, not gain crazy amounts during my pregnancy. I'm also finding it difficult to do my walks as I'm exhausted from being pregnant, but I will also work until 6 p.m. every day. I'm curious how you handled weight gain during pregnancy and how you tackled motivational issues when pregnant and completely exhausted. Oh, girl, I feel you. First of all, congratulations. That's amazing. I got pregnant 4 weeks after I reached my goal weight. I didn't realise I was pregnant until 4 weeks in, and I thought I had MS. I was so lethargic. I was so exhausted. I was like, I'm dying. There has to be something wrong with me, because I had been so healthy, so full of life, exercising all the time, just running around the place, living my best life, for the 4 weeks until I got pregnant. But it was about week 3, I would say week 2.5, week 3 of being pregnant. I was like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? And I started doing the Couch to 5K program the week that I reached my goal weight. And I realized I was pregnant on week 8 of the program, which I think is the last week. It was basically my final 2 runs, and I nearly collapsed. And I was like, I can't believe, I can't do this. Then the negative self-talk was coming in, and I was like, what is happening? And I found it really, really difficult. And then I wasn't even able to walk. I remember going to I have my walking route. I will have little markers. So I will have one that's a super short walk if I'm just not feeling it or I'm injured. I will have one that is the same walk as when I started, and it's an okay-ish amount of distance. It was something that I was able to do at the start, after I built up a bit of stamina. And I remember being at that part. It was in a community, I go through a community centre, and I was like, I can't, I have to go home. I don't know what's wrong with me. And then I found out I was pregnant. So I was like, it makes so much sense. And I wasn't iron deficient, despite being plant-based. Everyone was like, you're going to be iron deficient. And they said that actually the best iron levels that they'd seen in a pregnant lady. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. However, I remember my first 12-week check in the hospital, and I stood on the scales and I was up 7 kg, which is about a stone, 14-ish pounds, give or take, something around that. And I remember going, ooh, okay, that's information. That's hard to see. That's tough. Now, I wasn't at this point, I hadn't oh no, I did have morning sickness. I was very lucky with my morning sickness, and I did actually, when I ate, it helped it. But I was eating well. But I remember the first thing that I had to stop doing was intermittent fasting because I just did not have the energy. I asked my GP, I went to my GP when we found out, the next day, booked in, and he said that I could still eat the calories that I was eating in maintenance if they were okay for me, and I could still intermittent fast if it was okay for me. Both of those things had those big caveats of if it was okay for me. It had to make sure that it was working for me, and they weren't. So the calories, I was like, I needed more food. And the intermittent fasting, that was out the window. I needed fuel when I woke up. I needed food because you're growing a human. And some people can intermittent fast. And I was like, not in your Nelly am I doing it. And I gained a healthy weight during my pregnancy. You will gain weight. It's inevitable. First of all, we get 50% more blood in our body when we're pregnant. We've got all the placenta, the stuff, a baby, and your hormones are totally all over the show. So don't stress too much about the weight. Don't use it as an excuse. That's the kind of thing I was thinking of, is that I was not going to use this as an excuse to eat for two, because that's absolute baloney. I found it too difficult to do my walks. However, I did start doing strength training during pregnancy. I did an app called Baby to Body or Body to Baby or something like that. And they gave it was an app where you did workouts a number of days a week, and then you did pelvic floor exercises and stretches and things like that. All of these really suitable for being in pregnancy, and that was wonderful for me. So I still felt like I was doing some kind of movement, but I wasn't. I also didn't feel safe walking necessarily because I was pregnant. I don't know, just because I had such low blood pressure as well. I always felt a bit dizzy, so I wanted to be somewhere where Vincent was if I needed anything. So to answer your question, you will gain weight. My biggest tip would be to find something that works for you. Make sure you're focusing on nutrition. That's what I tried to do. Everything that I was eating, I wanted to ensure that it was nourishing me and the baby. And even though I am plant-based and vegan, I ate so many Maltesers through my pregnancy. I was like, if you don't give me Maltesers, I will eat somebody. I was like, I need Maltesers. That was my massive craving for a while. And strawberries, oh my God, I ate so many strawberries, so much watermelon, and so many Maltesers. Being really well-rounded, nourished, exercising well, all was up until I reached 40 weeks. And then the 2 weeks that we were that he was due, he was over and before, and it was all very stressful. I just ate everything around me because I was so bored. I was so fed up, and I just was I wouldn't say I was binging, but I had nothing else to do except sit around and eat. So, one tip that I will give you is, if you are triggered by the scales, when you're going to your check-ins with your GP or your gyno or whoever it is, whatever country you're in, I chose not to be weighed. Or if they insisted on me being weighed, I chose not to know. I asked them that seeing the number going up on the scales was a trigger for me. I didn't want to bring in any negative thought processes, so I asked them to not tell me. The only time that I saw my weight was the day I gave birth, when they had to figure out if they had to give me injections or not. And I was 93 kilos. Now, I just have major surgery, and I was so swollen, and all of the usual after having a baby. So I was like, but my actual post kind of come down and all of that, I was 40 pounds that I chose, that I wanted to lose to get back to my goal weight. So I did that then afterwards. So that's a really long way of answering your question. So I would focus on, if the scale is a trigger, don't weigh yourself and ask them not to let you know what your weight is. Stick to foods that are really nourishing. I did eat much higher calories. I ate a lot of like porridge with protein, peanut butter, flaxseed, chia seeds, all of those things that were just like feeding me and him. And I needed them. I needed that like high calorie, fatty, dense, protein rich food because I was growing a human. You know, you're growing brains. It's intense. How do you simply trust the process when, for example, the scale doesn't budge for a long time or others are achieving their goals faster? I'm at a loss the past 2 to 3 days. Okay, the first thing I would ask is that if the scale hasn't moved in 2 to 3 days, if that's what you're saying, please do not, like, don't stress about that. It will be okay. It will move. So long as you know that you're doing everything that you need to do, that you're within your calories. And I'm going to speak within the methodology that I lost weight because I can't speak to anybody else. Like, honestly, eating within your calories, you're drinking water, you're doing whatever exercise methodology it is. This is why walking is recommended with the Body Slims program, because it is not like having an adverse effect with muscle, etc. Not an adverse, but like an off effect with the scales, if we're so scales focused. And nutrition, so making sure that we're getting food that's not going to cause us to bloat or anything like that. And once I was like rigorously honest with myself, I trusted the process. I trusted that I was going to lose weight. When others are losing faster than you, that is giving your energy externally. It's giving your energy to something that you cannot control. You cannot control the rate at which you're going to lose weight, and you cannot control other people's weight loss. The only thing that you can control is what you do to lose weight. When we surrender that power of trying to control those uncontrollables and focus purely on the inputs, the water, the diet, the nutrition, the calories, the nutrition, the exercise, sleep, stress, when we control those that contribute positively or negatively to weight loss, that is all we can focus on. That is the only thing that is within our power. And we have to relinquish power to everything else because it's not doing you any good. So the important thing is to blindside yourself. If you're finding it difficult, if you say you're on Instagram and you're seeing people's like weigh-in Wednesday and you're like, oh my God, they lost 2 pounds, unfollow them or hide them or quieten them or something. I can't remember what it's called. It's quiet, is it? Or hide them for a couple of weeks until you feel better. If I trigger you, hide me for a while until you feel better. Just make sure that you're focusing on yourself and not on anybody else, and control those controllables and relinquish control to anything else. Blink2 Matrix asked, hi Carla, I've been losing weight and I'm just over 200 pounds lost. Wow. With 30 or so still to go. I notice my mental image of the self doesn't match how others perceive me. Does this adjust or go away with time? Any advice on how to help the process? Yes, this does go away with time, and there's ways that we can help to increase the speed of that. Before and after photographs are really important. Before and after videos, you don't have to put them anywhere. Just for yourself to really examine that. I would think about what you are thinking when you feel that your image doesn't match what others perceive. What I'm hypothesizing or guessing is that other people are seeing your loss, but you can't see it fully yet, I would imagine. And also remember that this is aside, but the biggest weight loss that you will see is within 10 to 15 pounds of your goal weight. That's when it's like the most dramatic. And people will tell you that you have lost enough weight, but that's their SHIT. You do your thing. Think about what is happening when somebody says, when you can't see that. I'm going to give you an example. And this is actually something from my sister that I ended up doing as well. I used to go into a clothes store, for example, and in my head, I would say, like, there's a size 10, and I'd look at it and I go, I'm not going to fit into those. Now, somebody who's with me might pick out the size 10 for me. Like, I was literally at an event yesterday and somebody said to me, you're a size small. Like, she was getting me a gift of clothes and she was like, a size small? And I was like, yes. But before, if that would have happened, I'd be like, no, I'm like a large. And it's kind of a defense mechanism as well. My sister's thing to overcome this was to challenge your mental belief immediately. grab that size 10 and go into the changing room and prove to yourself that it does fit. So whatever is happening for you that you're not allowing yourself maybe to see what other people are seeing, I would challenge yourself to prove yourself wrong. Does that make sense? I don't know what context. Maybe if we have more of a back and forth, maybe if you comment underneath, I can maybe give another suggestion for your certain situation. But it will take time for your brain to catch up. My experience is that I was not aware of how big I was. I hated mirrors. I literally would not go near a mirror, a reflection. I was so bad that there was once a show, there was a show on, and they showed the person in the mirror, like the mirror came into view on the camera, and I flinched because I wasn't prepared to see myself. So I wasn't aware of how big I was. And in that sense, when I was losing weight, I didn't see that much of a difference because my mind had kind of protected me from I was kind of in denial of how big I was. And I ended up having to, there was a point, I think I was 4 or 5 stone down. And that's kind of what I thought I always looked like. But then I realized that's not what I always looked like. I think I was stuck at a certain weight. I was stuck at my mid-20s weight, not what I actually had weighed. I just kind of refused to see it. So our brains can take a long time for us to catch up with that because we don't look ourselves in the mirror when we're, morbidly obese. When we're at the start, we don't really pay attention. We try and hide, or we hold ourselves or contort ourselves in the mirror or into clothes to look a way that we believe is acceptable, even though all ways are acceptable to look. And so it can take time for your brain to catch up with something. And you need to get your brain ready and used to seeing the new you. So stand in front of the mirror, and stand in front of the mirror with a picture of yourself from before. Stand in front of the mirror and really examine yourself. Film yourself before and back, the back of you, the front of you. Do a circle. And I will say this as well, this isn't maybe an aside. No, actually, I think it's really relevant. So for those of us who have been morbidly obese and lose similar weight to this gentleman, I believe it's gentleman. Yes, it is. Blink 2 Matrix. Yes. Lovely, smiley, happy looking gentleman. He's lost 200 pounds and is going to be losing 230 pounds. At plus 200 pounds, I would imagine that your body did not look smooth, because my body did not look smooth. It had lumps, it had bumps, it had, my thighs, my hips, my bum, my stomach is where I carried most of my weight. And it didn't look like, bigger bodies don't look like a size 10 or size small, just expanded and all smooth. It's rare that they do. They tend to kind of be contorted, distorted in some way. I have had an overhang over my belly button, so I never saw my belly button. When you lose weight, that shape will still be there, most likely. So when you're in the nip and looking at yourself, I found it incredibly difficult, and sometimes I have to still challenge myself that I don't look like I did at 323 pounds. I know that I don't look like that, but because my body still has the same shape, my brain can be like, it's the same. So it's about being compassionate to ourselves and understanding that these situations are different for us than it might be for the regular Joe Soap who has never been that weight and now is, and has always been whatever weight you are when you lose weight at your goal weight. And for example, I have friends who have never really put weight on before. They've never had issues with weight. And I'm the same size as them now. But my body in the nip does not look like their body in the nip. And I don't show my body in the nip. I have no, I'm a demure princess. I know I dance in my knickers and stuff, but I'm not that's a safe space for me. I'm not big into showing loose skin and all this kind of stuff. I do show it occasionally, hey. The difference between somebody who is in a bigger body and somebody who has always been that weight, it's going to look different when you're naked, and you can dress really well for it, but it is going to look different, and it can have a psychological impact then when you lose weight on not feeling like you are, you know, like everybody else who's a size 10. And I'm using size 10, that's UK size 10. Ireland's not in the UK, but that's the sizes that we use, just to specify that in case anyone thinks I'm saying that Ireland is in the UK. I'm aware. I'm from Dublin. I'm a proud Irish woman. But anyway, that's an aside. We're not going to get through half of these, are we? Pastor Madeline asked, how did you decide to switch to maintenance from seeking to lose more weight? What was the process like? It's a weird one. The first time, I only had 4 weeks in maintenance before I got pregnant, so it was kind of like a whirlwind and bizarre. But I chose my goal weight based on a number of factors, and I'm going to leave a video up here about how I chose my goal weight. And then I started to reverse diet. So I started to add in calories then. And I actually have a full maintenance playlist video from after my postpartum journey where I go through each week what I did for maintenance. So I'm going to leave that linked up here as well, because that might help you. But it is a shift in, first thing I'm going to say is you'll probably continue to lose weight. It's really strange. Your body is just so used to losing weight that it'll probably continue to lose weight, and it'll probably peter off at some point. But you just basically add in more calories until you are happy, you know, that you feel that you're maintaining. Or you can do the 5-2, which is where you eat like you did for 5 days, and then you might have like big meals on the weekend, or you're going out to dinner and you're not counting calories and that kind of thing. I kind of do like a mix between the two in maintenance. Eat like a slightly higher calorie, not slightly, like a higher calorie limit, a bit higher, not massively higher, depending on my exercise though. So like for days that I dance, I will eat 300 calories more. And these are all kind of guesstimates because I don't really count calories anymore. I'll do it like occasionally just to kind of keep my head in the game and, you know, like, what are we doing here? Or if I'm doing a reset. So I hope that helps and answers your question. Breed McGrath asked, what would you like to do after social media? Love your videos. Are you getting rid of me already, Breed? I'm not finished with this yet. I have a couple of ideas for companies that I would like to build over the next 5 years. I have 2 big ideas that I would like to focus on. And no, I'm not going to tell you what they are. One is within the event space and one is within the product space. So watch this space, guys. Tony asked, hi, curious to know how your mindset has changed, if at all, since being diagnosed with ADHD. I am currently going through the assessment process myself at 27 years old, and just by learning so much about the effects of undiagnosed ADHD and the way in which it's impacted me throughout my life has been so insightful. Things really make much more sense now, and I'm curious to know if your diagnosis has brought you any answers, insight and understanding about yourself. Hope you're well, sending the positive vibes from Wales. Thank you, Tony. Yes, I think I got a bit angry when I first got diagnosed with ADHD. I was like, wow, my life would have been so much easier if I'd known about all of this. A lot of things that I blamed or had shame on for myself were actually due to my ADHD. Now, just to be very clear on this, I've had ADHD my whole life. However, my ADHD got exacerbated after I had Branach because I had an incredibly traumatic birth experience, and trauma can exacerbate ADHD. So it can it can bring it up to 11, which is what it did.
This one goes to 11.
The main thing that I have experienced is the understanding of some of my feelings and why I felt like those. And that is so freeing to understand that. So like first I was, you kind of have that is like the stages of grief where you kind of like blame and like, my life would have been so much easier, if I'd known this, but can't change that. So let's process, let's move on. What was the other one? Yeah, there's ADHD free. One thing that I learned that I've experienced my whole life, which is so mind-blowing, was my inability to do something if I didn't connect with the thing, or with the person teaching it. For example, in school, I loved maths until I was in 4th year. I loved maths and I was an A student in maths. I was excellent. I have good computing skills within my head. I kind of can work out percentages and like short maths and that kind of thing, even like fractions, even just to like a roundabout idea pretty quickly in my head. However, my teacher left the school for questionable reasons. Not him. He was great. I think he just a bit of an anger issue. And that's another story. Although he liked us, I loved him. Like random, like you'd have a double maths one day, and he'd come and he'd sit down and he'd like tell you all about a serial killer in Ireland, and just like we just close the maths book and sit there for 2 hours. And it's because I liked him that I was able to connect with him. I was able to have that rapport. And the way he taught, I understood. And because my grades were so good, I got put into like the maths class when he left with all the guys who went on to do maths in college. And I basically was like, I might have never gone. Like I might as well have never been in that room, because he might have been teaching in Mandarin, because I had no idea what was going on. And that was due to ADHD. It was due to the connection that I had with the previous teacher and the way he taught versus the newer teacher and the way he taught. A lot of things as well down to patience. That's really interesting. And obviously having like a lack of like dopamine working for me and reaching for food for dopamine. My ADHD did get like really exacerbated then post-birth trauma. And in that time, the kind of biggest things that I've noticed, and since having treatment, the biggest things I've noticed are where my absolute apathy can come in. There's a cycle within ADHD where you get really into something, like really into it, and then all of a sudden there's a switch and you just have complete apathy for it. You're like, I don't want to do this anymore. No interest. Like I might be like full blown gung-ho for something and then be like, nope. Or it's just general apathy for tasks. That one, to understand where that came from was so freeing, because I was like, why do I just, and that was my whole life. All of a sudden I just be like, cannot be arsed doing this. So that one. And then another thing that I realized, obviously the organization, all that. Another thing I realized was I started to be able to hear music lyrics and concentrate on things. Like I kind of lived in like this like higher, like not frequency, like not in a good way. Like I would live in this kind of like surface level of everything. And I would never delve deep into something unless it was like Led Zeppelin lyrics. And you'd hear something on the radio and you'd be like, that's, you'd sing it wrong. Or you just like wouldn't ever try to pick up the lyrics. And then one day I just remember being like, oh, I heard those lyrics for the first time. It was like the blah, 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 became, you to me are everything. Like, look at that. That kind of way. So that was fascinating. The same with dancing. It's like that I would see a move and just be like, okay, that's how it's done, and not have the patience almost, or the in-depth ability to go through and see why that movement does that. Does that make sense? So that's like, yeah, I'm obviously a lot calmer because I'm medicated, but I'm a lot more chilled. I'm a lot more in touch and in the zone and present than I used to be. And the perspective, I'm also a lot more compassionate towards myself, because I understand that some of this is not my fault. It's just part of who I am. It is my responsibility to work through it, but it's not my fault. There's not something wrong with me necessarily. There is just something different about me, and I have to do things in a different way. Catherine asked, how did the COVID lockdowns impact your weight loss journey? Did they make things easier or harder? Thanks for all you do. Your channel has made a big difference to me. Thank you, Catherine. I lost all of my weight during COVID lockdown. If you've ever done Body Slims, or if you've ever heard Jared speak about me on Body Slims, he talks about the power of the decision, the power of making a decision. I joined Body Slims January 2020, 21st of January 2020, and lockdown hit Ireland on the 17th of March 2020. we were 6 weeks into Body Slims, and it turned online then. So it was in person and now it's fully online, and it switched. They had some people doing it online then, but like everybody who was in the rooms, all like 800 of us, we had to go online. Now, not everybody did. And I could have used that as the moment where I went, I'm not doing this anymore. And honestly, I don't know where I'd be now if I didn't continue on. It's a scary thought. It's actually really scary. I have shivers thinking about it. And then the next cycle then, so, you know, we thought we'd be 2 weeks. The next cycle after that was the April, and that was online only. And I had a decision to make. Am I going to keep doing this? Because, you know, this isn't the format that I wanted it to be in. And I'm so proud of myself that I continued on. I made the decision to go, okay, no, I've committed to this. I've seen the results and I'm going to keep going. And I did. And I kept going, and I did 2 more cycles after that. So I did 3 cycles fully in lockdown to reach my goal weight. And I'm so glad that I did. I think that I'm going to keep quoting Jared, but he says, you make now perfect with the actions that you take. There is no perfect time to lose weight. You have to make it perfect. And that's what I did. I made it perfect by just going, okay, I don't know, I can't control lockdowns and what's happening. I can't control what I'm going to do. And I'm so glad that I did, that I just was like, okay, I'm just going to make now perfect. And it was very stressful because I was running a charity. I had 30 people under me. We were working with like 7,500 people in nursing homes, in like older adults who were the most vulnerable to COVID. So it was incredibly stressful. And like I could have used any of those as an excuse to give in, but I didn't. I kept going. And I think it was that, while it was so stressful and there was so much going on, it taught me the power of how important it is to put yourself first, and that everything else comes after that. Everything. And I do mean everything. Now, I don't mean buying a Chanel handbag instead of sending your kids to college or whatever, or Hermes to send your kids to college. I mean that you have to fill your cup before you can fill anybody else's. And that's what I did. That's what that taught me. So while it was a challenge, it wasn't an obstacle, another body slimsism. It became, I made it perfect. I made the best time that I could with the action that I took, because it was either that or I sat down and did nothing. And it gave me something to do as well, and a focus. And that's when I started HalfofCarla as well. In the April of that year, I started HalfofCarla because I was like, well, might as well do this as well. Could you please share more about your specific bedtime routine in order to get to bed and get up in the morning? I tend to always bump my morning pages because I don't get to bed on time. If you're willing to share some of what you write in your morning pages or the payoff of doing your morning pages, that would be great. I have bedtime routine videos. I'll leave them linked up here. You have to set a routine and you have to stick to it. And I know that sounds easy, but what I do is that I kind of do everything in the same pattern, no matter what time it is. So even if I'm coming home late from dancing, or I've been out at an event or something like that, or we've gone on a date, I'll still do the same things. And it is setting you up the night before for that next day. And my bedtime routine, like I finish work between 5 and 6, hopefully, make dinner between 6 and 7, start getting Brannock ready for bed between 7 and 8. So that's like bedtime routine for him. Before I go downstairs, or ideally before I go downstairs, even from finishing work, or before I start making dinner, I will take my makeup off. That's just to get it done and out of the way. Then Brannock's in bed by 8 o'clock. I have my makeup off, brush my teeth, put my hair into my wrap, my silky sausage. I will get my clothes ready for the next day. If I'm out of the house, I will have what I'm wearing when I'm going into town or to an event. I'll have my work bag, like my office bag, packed with my laptop and my cables and my notebooks and things. And then I'll also have my walking clothes ready. Walking clothes go downstairs. And then, they go downstairs because I get dressed in the kitchen in the morning so that I don't wake anybody up. And then I get into bed, ideally by 8:30. the latest like that I can function by is 9:50. Cat hair. The latest I can function the next day is 9:50, and I do my gratitude journal. I tend to watch some kind of like Disney vlog or something while I'm doing that. And then I'll either put a meditation on and then I will go to sleep. I don't watch TV. So you probably like notice that there's a big hole of like TV. I watch TV on the weekends, like Friday night, Saturday night we'll watch TV, but I don't watch TV during the week. Because it just doesn't serve me in any way. And this is not to be like pious or like any pick me, like TV is just not for me. I love TV, but I just don't, the payoff isn't worth the sacrifice of my sleep, to be honest with you. And then my alarm goes off at 4:25 in the morning. If I've gone to bed, if I'm asleep by 9 o'clock, normally I will wake up on time. I get up. I do not press the snooze button. That is absolutely vital. I do not press the snooze button. It's so important. It's so important because it just pulls you back into sleep again. You think you're getting like a nice little nap, but you're not. You're actually making it so much harder on yourself. I get up, brush my teeth, go downstairs, into my walking clothes and out the door before I even think about it. Because I've planned everything from the morning before, from the night before, I don't have to think. I'm just going. I'm just done. It's done. It's finished. It's great. And then when I come back, I'm back in the house by about 5:45, 6 o'clock. I make my coffee. I do the cat's food. I have my vitamins and all that kind of stuff. I do a bottle for Brannock. He has one when he wakes up in the morning. And then depending on what time he's going to wake up at, either have a shower then or have a shower after him. After he wakes up, I'll do my makeup depending. I might be gone already by 7 o'clock. If I'm out of the house, I'll try and do my morning pages as the first thing before I start work, either in the house or out of the house. Like today, I didn't do my morning pages, and that's okay. I don't do them every single day. I try and do them. And if I'm not for that all or nothing mentality, that perfectionist mentality, it's something I've had to train myself out of because it doesn't serve me. It is about trying to fit it in and meet yourself where you are on that day. And yesterday, absolutely morning pages. This morning, not going to happen. So and in terms of things that I write in my morning pages, I'm going to leave my morning pages journal video up here. I don't read back through what I'm writing, so I couldn't tell you what I write in them. It's not important to me to look back and read over them. It's about getting out of me what's in me at that time. It's not a to-do list, and it's not a dear diary, yesterday Vincent said this to me. It could be Vincent said this to me yesterday. I found that really triggering. What was it that was triggering about that in me? Where did I feel that in my body? I felt that in my stomach. Okay, that's something like that's okay. I have an event next week. I'm really stressed about the event. Why am I stressed about the event? What is it in me that's stressing me about the event? Is it, and then try and talk myself through these things. Like you would, like almost like a best friend, trying to like flesh out your feelings and why you're feeling certain ways. In your mental health and personal development journey, did you have any favorite books or podcasts? I'm starting Body Slims in September. I'd love to hear more about your personal development that happened alongside with your weight loss. Thank you for inspiring me to put myself first. You are so welcome. Yes, I had Dance of Anger. I'm going to leave the video up here to my favorite personal development books. And I think I mentioned podcasts in them as well. My favorite podcasts they change all the time now. A lot of things I'm trying to like become more aware of, like what's happening in the world necessarily than like, I would read The Untethered Ghost, anything by Gabor Mate, The Little Voice Within by Mo Godot, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, Dance of Anger by Harriet Lerner, Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Folio. I'm a Badass, You're a Badass. I can't remember what her name is. And I read Roxy Nafusi's Manifest as well. I believe manifesting, she's pretty good at it. I don't think it's anything groundbreaking, and like she's just really good at marketing. But it's I think it's a good book to help you to understand what manifesting is, and that it's not some kind of like woo-woo thing. It's like bringing you along, like it's aligning you, getting your reticulating activating system, something like that, ready, getting that sorted so that you can see opportunities to bring you to where you want to go. That's it. They're my ones. Podcasts. Like at the moment, I'm listening to like nothing that is personal development-y. Nothing. I go through phases. Sometimes I'm like, I'm good working on myself. I don't need to work on myself right now. I don't want to. So this question got asked a couple of times. I'm out of battery and I'm out of space on my SD card, so I'm going to answer this last question and then I'm done. Hi Carla, how are you? Hi Christina. Here's my question. During your binge eating period when you were doing talk therapy, how did you know that you were ready to start a weight loss diet? Thank you so much. You're a great inspiration. Thank you, Christina. To clarify, I didn't start weight loss when I was going through binge eating disorder therapy. I didn't lose weight until I was going through food addiction therapy, which was 10 years later. It's a big distinction in the two things. The binge eating disorder therapy that I did was clinical psychology based relationship therapy and some CBT. That was 3 years, and I decided to start not losing weight after that, but like eating less. I wasn't following any kind of program or something when I was basically, you get like released from the therapy, and I lost some weight, but I was never able to keep it off. And then I realized I was a food addict. That's how I had my realization. Went to sensory motor psychotherapy to help with the food addiction and to heal the trauma that I was living with. And the moment that I decided that I was ready to lose weight, so I started the therapy in October, and it was 4 months after my realization, and the body slim started the January following, and I booked body slims during the therapy when I understood where my weight came from. When I understood that I created this body around me, a coping mechanism, as a barrier between myself and the world. It was the result of how negative I thought about myself, and that those thoughts did not belong to me. And I felt like I'd woken up and I'd gone, oh my God, what have I done to myself? And we did one particular session where my therapist guided me through, and it's just connecting into your body. There's nothing woo-woo. And all I could see was this, I'm getting such chills, was this beautiful blue light, this like ethereal opalite blue. This is my color. This is my like opalite. Like this is what sits in my soul. And I felt that light and like this form of a slim person in me, trapped inside me. And I felt like that was the real me. And all I wanted to do was unzip my body and step out and be free. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm done. I'm done holding this. I'm done holding on to this weight because I understood where it came from, and I was done holding on to it for other people and for the world around me. And I wanted to be free. And that's what I did. 3 months later started Body Slims, and 14 months later I was done. Guys, I really enjoyed this Q&A. You guys asked some really good questions and some interesting questions. I didn't get through half of them, so if you want me to do another Q&A, please let me know. And if you have any other questions or any like follow-up questions to the answers that I gave, please let me know down in the comments down below. Leave me some blue hearts or white hearts or blue and white hearts for my opalite. This is my, as I was saying, my crystal of choice. This represents the inner part of me. And yeah, make sure you're following, make sure you're subscribed, and most importantly, guys, please don't forget to show up for yourselves and put yourselves first, because you know you're worth it and you're worth the work. To quote the great Abel Lauren, you are worth the work. And yeah, I'll love you and leave you all, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.